Welcome to Spirit Life. I'm Bruce, and this is a Christian movie review for Matrix Resurrections. I got my sister Megan, my brother Will, my wife Joy driving, and just wanted to give a hot take. I don't have time, to do like a full review necessarily, but what did y'all think? Did you like the movie, first of all?
I did like it. I thought it took a little bit to get going in the action, and I'm big on just pure action. So I was ready for like the fighting and the martial arts, all that to start a little sooner. But that's kind of my view on movies in general. I want to be entertained right from the start.
Yeah, they had some similar action sequences as before, but I think because I've seen it before, it didn't like awe me the way it did the first Matrix. I saw the first Matrix in theaters, even though I was only 17. I wasn't supposed to be in the movie at the time. I was supposed to be 18. But it really blew my mind. Like the whole idea, what if we were all in a computer program? And the action had never been seen before, so therefore this movie didn't feel quite as mind-blowing, in my opinion. What do you think, Megan?
I liked the movie a lot. I liked the Easter eggs that they would throw in, referencing to all three of the movies. And it's been a while since I've seen the movie, so when I saw those little Easter eggs, it kind of sparked back some of the memories from what I remember. And I liked some of the new actors that were in it. Neil Patrick Harris.
Yeah, he did a great job. I thought, he played well. Yeah, he played his part well. What do you think? Did you enjoy it, Joy? Thumbs up. The main reason I went to see the movie because it's an R rating, and I usually don't watch R, just because I don't want to get like too much violence and profanity and stuff like that. And you never know if something's going to be really gory. There is a portion in the last bit of the movie that seemed pretty gruesome, actually, if you stop to think about it. In the heat of the moment, you may not think about it too much, but I think it definitely deserves the R rating just for that. But what do you guys think in terms of like, would you say it's deserving of the R rating? Is it family friendly? What do you think?
Yeah, I think the R rating is almost more for the profanity than the actual violence. I think the action was obviously intense, but it wasn't, in my mind, overly violent compared to like a PG-13 action movie, but the profanity would definitely put it to an R.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it's not like we wouldn't share with our kids, right, Joy?
No, there's a scene at the end where they had the...
Don't give spoilers.
Well, anyway, they had pretty much doing a lot of morbid stuff, and I was like, no, this is too intense. It's too not gruesome is the word, but it's just...
Yeah, I can give a spoiler warning in a minute. Yeah, if we want to, you can talk about that in a minute. But for those that haven't seen it and you want to know if it's okay to go see, I would say, like, as a Christian review, I don't think you're missing anything if you skip this film. The first Matrix seemed like it had a lot of Christian symbolism, honestly. Like, when I saw it from my Christian perspective, I'm thinking of everything through that lens, and I saw the Christ figure and the sacrifice and the different things that happen as like an analogy of waking up to the reality of Jesus and the reality of like the spiritual warfare around us. This film didn't seem to have that big of a Christian theme. Do you guys feel like, did you notice any?
No, and honestly, I kind of thought, this might sound crazy, but there was some kind of transhumanism a little bit, like where they're almost making it sound like, well, it's okay, like, now we're kind of having the machines help us, and the machines are almost like good. We can become one with machines, and it's not a bad thing, almost kind of like nodding to that idea, not necessarily blatantly, but
that's actually
got out of it.
Yeah, I never thought of the transhumanism, which, if you've never heard of that word, it means like this idea of transferring the human consciousness into a machine body, like beyond just the idea of a cyborg. It's like the human body is not necessarily the gift from the Lord that it's supposed to be, and therefore it could just be discarded for, the mind only and that kind of thing. It's almost like a form of Gnosticism, like the secret knowledge is all that matters. Did you find any Christian symbolism, Megan?
No, and to be honest, I didn't go into that movie with that lens
in
mind. When I watch movies, I just want to be entertained, and if I see a movie and I am entertained for 2 hours, then I like it. So I'm not much of like a movie reviewer or kind of a critic. I enjoy most movies that I watch. So I didn't go in with that lens like you did.
And I wasn't nitpicking the whole time. It was enjoyable. If you're wondering, like, is this movie enjoyable? I felt like it was. You know, there was, like, some good action. Some of the mystery at the beginning that built up, like, you know, what's going on. I found that fascinating. What'd you think, Joy?
Which part?
Did you enjoy it overall? I mean...
Oh, yeah. I thought it was interesting, though, because they kept talking about getting his mojo back. And I thought that was interesting because he had lost his purpose. That's one thing I noticed was like he lost his drive. He just kind of overcame and just got used to being dull. That's the one thing that I thought was a really cool takeaway, was just that he was getting his mojo back, his purpose. And I don't know, I just thought it was interesting because it was like the title's called Resurrection, but I feel like it was the resurrection of their purpose and their goal and their vision and their dreams. So I thought that was
That's
cool.
a great point. Actually, I never picked up on that. See, leave it to you to find some good symbolism. I didn't pick up on that, but now that you're saying it, I think they did make a strong point of that. If you wanted to look at it as an analogy of like a Christian who's lost their zeal for the Lord, then you could maybe weave that in there a little bit. Or, you know, just the movie did deal with broken dreams or lost dreams and kind of setting those aside to go into the humdrum, boring routine and cycle of life and breaking free of that cycle. So, I mean, there are some positive elements, but we can talk just for the last minute or so about a few spoilers. Was there anything, you actually, Joy, were starting to talk about at the very end, that kind of gruesome part. Do you want to mention why that was so striking?
It just had like this suicide bomber kind of feel, like where the symbionts or the computer guys just used the human bodies that were like waking up in the middle of the night and like making them run and dive out to kill the two people that they were chasing, which was Trinity and Neo. So I just didn't like that scene. I thought that was really over the top, but it just shows how, to me, it shows how much whenever you are under attack and you're like the enemy just tries to come at you, like how vicious they are to keep you in that bondage. So I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, that's the part that I mentioned, and again, this is spoilers, but that's the part that I thought was a little gruesome because theoretically, at the end, the people that were dive bombing and using their bodies as kind of just blunt objects to jump out of windows and try to attack the protagonists, that felt really bad, like they're killing themselves, although they were supposed to just be robots or computer programs, but that part bothered me a lot. Just if you think about it, it's like kind of gruesome.
Took over their bodies, yeah.
But what is there anything spoilery that you guys wanted to just throw out there before I end?
I thought it took a while to really get to like explaining Neo and Trinity and what happened in the previous films and what's happening now, and then kind of by the time they were explaining it, it's like, oh, now we have to get some action in too. And it seemed like they were trying to have a balance of like a good story of in the previous Matrix films, but then going back to like what makes a good Matrix movie, which is good action at the same time. So it's a hard balance to find. I thought it
kind of
was
like where have they been all this time, you know, like they're trying to explain that.
Yeah, if you're wondering by looking at the trailers if you're going to get your questions answered, then the answer is yes. They'll answer what's going on. Why does it look like the Matrix is back up and running? Why does it look like these characters are back? It'll answer that for you at least. I thought that, you know, there were parts that just didn't fit. I'll be specific here. I didn't understand what Agent Smith was doing in the movie. Like, what was his role? And maybe it's just because I'm dumb and I didn't pick up on it. Did that make any sense to you, Megan?
I think he was just kind of playing whatever side that he wanted to. And I think the way that Neo had coded everything that he had coded a little bit of a relationship, like with Agent, was it Smith?
Yeah.
That they had some sort of connection with the previous 3 movies, that even though they hated each other, they still like connected somehow.
Yeah.
Kind of like your enemy is the person who makes you who you are.
I mean, I could see that.
And without the opposite, then like, who are you really? So he kind of played both sides of the field. Another spoiler is that you need to wait until the end of the movie. I'm not going to say what happens, but just wait until the very end of the movie, because there's an extra scene.
Yeah, there is an end credit scene. Whether it's worth it or not is up to you.
I thought it was funny.
It's a nice little touch that they had an end credit scene, because I'm so conditioned from Marvel films to think that you have to wait till the end credits. But yeah, I think some of the fights that were in the movie just felt like they were thrown in there, not necessarily like they fit the plot perfectly. But you know, if you skip the film, it's not like you're missing a ton, I don't think. If you're the biggest Matrix fan ever, then you're going to see it. You have to. It's part of the story, and whether you like it or not, they rebooted it, they put it in there. And Warner Brothers did kind of lampshade a little bit of why they're redoing the movie. In other words, in the movie, they talk about how reboots and revisiting old properties is lucrative, and they understand that it's sometimes a cheap cash grab. But just because the character says that they understand that that's a thing doesn't mean that that's not also what's actually happening. So Warner Brothers possibly was truly just, you know, trying to cash in on their property versus having a really compelling story to tell. But what do you guys think overall? Give it a thumbs up or thumbs down?
Yeah, I'd say thumbs up overall. Like Megan said, at the end of the day, you just want to be entertained at a movie, and whether you want to get super deep in the Matrix mythology or not, if you are entertained for a couple hours, then all in all, a pretty good day. So,
what do you think, Joy?
It was a good revisit to the Matrix. And my younger years, I agree with Will a lot that it was kind of slow and steady at first, and then it finally ramped up at the end. But overall, I really enjoyed it. I thought it was fun to hang out with family and go see a movie.
Yeah, be aware, again, bringing back to those Christian undertones, this movie, unlike the first film, seems devoid of some of the Christian symbolism that I noticed previously. It does have a ton of like reincarnation, fate versus free will, daoism kind of talk, some gnosticism.
Yeah.
Those things are present. But I mean, as a conversation starter, if you go in, you know, in Titus it says, to the pure all things are pure. So if you go in with a Christian perspective, you probably will see some truth or some themes that stand out to you as a biblical concept or as something that the Lord can use to speak to you. But it's not like you're going to take your youth group to see the film. So thanks for jumping in. I don't know if you guys have ever been on one of my YouTube videos before, but Will and Megan and Joy, thanks for being part of our little hot take on the Matrix. Hey, be sure to hit the like button. It actually really helps the channel. And if you haven't subscribed, I actually really love to hear from other people. And if you guys want to leave your thoughts below, I love quality discussion. I love talking about the details. Make sure you put a spoiler warning if you're going to mention any specific detail in the film. But until next time, this is Bruce on Spirit Life and the Wham Fam.